Hi, boys and girls. It's Mr. Wasemann, and today we are continuing our search for images and text features to complement our biography text in our Famous Hoosier slideshow. Before we get started, I wanted to talk to you about an old-timey saying that you may have heard when it comes to doing research on the internet, and that is falling down a rabbit hole. Now, this is taken from the story Alice in Wonderland, where she goes chasing after a very curious-looking rabbit and gets sucked into a world of distraction, and she finds herself far from home. When we are doing internet searches, it is very easy for us to make a wrong turn and find ourselves in sections of the internet that we didn't want to be in, or become distracted by all kinds of things that the internet has to offer. So today I wanted to talk about being specific about our searches. Now I am on a new tab where the Google search engine is pulled up, and I want to go over to images. Now, to find an appropriate image, I got to think about, well, what do I want to see on my slide for each page? Now, this page right here describes Steve McQueen, my topic's birth, and he was born in Beech Grove, Indiana. So I could just take that search engine, which is now focusing on images, and just type in Beech Grove and see what happens. Now, when I type in that phrase, Beech Grove, the search engine, the algorithm, looks for anything with the words Beech Grove in it. Now, the first picture is an aerial view of the city, Beech Grove, Indiana, but then it goes all over the place. The second image is a picture of a painting of a grove of beech trees, followed by the Beech Grove Hospital, the Beech Grove School mascot, which is some sort of hornet, and then all kinds of random pictures that have the words Beech Grove in it. News clips that focus on something that happened in Beech Grove, all kinds of stuff. Sports teams, not very helpful. So when I'm making a search, I want to be a little bit more specific in my language in my search bar right up here. So I pulled up another tab and I added a couple words to my search, Beech Grove, Indiana, and then I wrote the word downtown. Now, by doing so, that filters or narrows down some of the choices that the computer will give you. Now, remember, there's no person operating the search. It's an algorithm. So it's still looking for the phrase Beech Grove, but now it's pairing it with the word Indiana and downtown. So I still get lots of random pictures of just houses and stuff. But I'm looking for a picture that might be suitable to go along with my description of Steve McQueen. So as I'm searching through, I'm looking for a picture that kind of looks like it's from the past. Okay, and as I'm scrolling through, okay, I see lots of pictures that look like they're from modern day. They look like they happened not too long ago. There's a few pictures in black and white, and then they get some random pictures. But there was one in particular that I liked. It's this one right here. And when I click on it, what happens is I get this new, larger image of it popping up. And again, if I want to use that image, what I can do is I can toggle back to the slide I want to take that picture to. And then very carefully, I'm just going to grab it and I'm going to drag it over. And I'm just going to drop it down in here. And immediately that picture pops up. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick. Okay. I'm going to, first of all, get rid of some of the placeholders for the pictures. And again, these word boxes and the text boxes don't need to be there. Okay, so here's my picture. Okay, I'm going to line it up. I'm going to right-click on the picture, and I get a bunch of different options, a bunch of tools. And one of them is crop, and I can shrink that picture a little bit more. I can cut off the bottom a little bit, cut off the top. And it makes it, whoops, I didn't crop it, I just smushed it. There we go. So now I have this picture that fits my space a little bit better. But now I'm going to do something a little different. This is a photo that was taken not too long ago. It's in color. But if I right click over here, I have this format option. And the format options gives me all kinds of different choices, including something called recolor. And I can make that picture look a little bit old or tiny by choosing a different color filter. Like here, I made it black and white or grayscale. This makes it a little darker. Then there's something called sepia tone. A lot of older photos have this kind of brownish look to it. And even though this may have been taken not too long ago, this makes the picture of downtown Beech Grove look like it happened in the past. So there's a trick for you. Now, another thing I wanted to focus on is the idea of, oops, we're done looking at that, using maps. And instead of using the word downtown, if I change that word to map, I can get a bunch of different choices of maps that I could include with my slide, along with the picture of the downtown area. Now, here's one that I like. It's got a little pin on a map, and it shows Beech Grove. But I wanted to point something out to you. When I click on that, you're going to notice that across the middle of the picture, there's something called a watermark. That watermark is basically a copyright symbol from this company, Shutterstock. Now, the photos that we use in our slideshows are for educational purposes, meaning that we are going to use them to show the learning that we've done. We're not going to make something with these photos and then try to sell it for money, because most of the photos that are posted were taken by photographers, and many photographers take photographs for a living and will post their images on companies like Shutterstock in the hopes that they will sell it to someone who wants to use that image. So if I wanted this image without the watermark going across it, I would have to log on to this website, and then I would have to pay some money. And since I don't want to pay money for that, I'm just going to think about a different picture. So I'm going to click out of that. Okay, so maybe I just want to get a picture that shows Beech Grove relative to other places in the central Indianapolis area. Okay, so let me click out of that. I think I'm going to go with this picture right here. That shows how Beech Grove is in that 465 loop right here in the middle. Or maybe I want a bigger picture right here that shows Beech Grove is close to Indianapolis, and we see other cities. So I'm just going to take that photo, and once again, I'm going to drag it over here, and I'll drop that down. And then once I get rid of these boxes here, and this word box here, I click on it, and then just hit my delete button. Now I have room for my other picture. And to make it fit, I'm just going to grab the corner of the photo, and I'm going to drag it to the opposite corner. That will reduce the picture without making the ratios all weird. So I want the ratios to stay the same. Okay? Now, one more point I wanted to make, and that is this. When I am doing a search for images, Google will link me to the websites where the images come from. And that might be a gold mine for other images or other pieces of information to round out your research. Okay, so I'm on the next slide right here, where it talks about Steve McQueen's upbringing. And he spent a lot of time as a kid growing up in Slater, Missouri with his great uncle Claude. So I did a second search for Slater, Missouri, and I came across all these images, and I happened to find this image, which was from an old tiny photo, and I clicked on it. Now, it's not the image here that I'm interested so much as what's going on underneath it, okay? Now, what Google will do is it will find similar images that relate to this image. Now, some of them don't relate at all because they are of different towns like Bethany, Missouri or Clinton, Missouri. But if you look at what it says for each of these links, I happened across a very interesting link. It says, how Steve McQueen's boyhood, and then it kind of trails off, which caught my eye. So if I click on that link, what happens is, as you can see up here, a new tab opens, and it doesn't open up the image, it opens up the website where the image came from. And it just so happens somebody created an article and posted it on this website, medium.com, about Steve McQueen's boyhood home, which was Slade, Missouri. And it has all kinds of information about him, including pictures of his boyhood home. This is an actual photo of the house that he lived in back a long time ago, and then even has pictures of his house, which still stands today in the 21st century. This is a close-up of his boyhood home from the window where Steve McQueen's room was. Okay, so it has all kinds of interesting pieces of information and other photos that I could use that relate to his upbringing. This is a picture of his dad, William McQueen, his biological father. This is a picture from the California Reform School where Steve McQueen was sent to go after a couple run-ins with the law. It says 16-year-old Steve McQueen is seated on the top row, 5th from the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this picture right here is of Steve McQueen as a young man before he became famous. Here's the thing about fame. People don't think about categorizing or collecting pictures of somebody who's famous when they're not famous. It's only after someone does something noteworthy that historians start looking backwards. And this website right here has a lot of information about my topic. So here's my point. When you are searching for images, you can go the route of just typing in words and phrases like I did here, but pay attention to the links where all of these photos are found. One link might take you in a direction where you are interested, and it might give you more. One final thought. If you happen to use Wikipedia as your source or one of your sources of information, you'll notice that Wikipedia has a lot of embedded words and phrases throughout the article. That's the cool thing about Wikipedia, is that anything that might have an article written about it will be linked to it. For example, Steve McQueen's an actor, so many of his roles are linked to this article because, for example, he starred in a TV show called Wanted Dead or Alive. Well, there's a link to an article in Wikipedia about Wanted Dead or Alive, and it's got some photos embedded in it too, and more information. I can look at particular movies that he starred in, like, for example, The Magnificent Seven or the Thomas Crown Affair. A lot of times what they will do is they will show the theatrical poster for actors. And if you go to a website like Wikipedia where they have images, if you click on the image directly, it'll give you a close-up or the picture in isolation. So hopefully these tips and tricks will help you spend less time just aimlessly searching and not falling down a rabbit hole, and hopefully you'll be able to find some interesting or useful pictures and text features that will help your slides look fantastic. Until next time, happy hunting.